What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of Stand Your Ground. I'm your host, as always, Alex Benson. I am joined this week by returning Brad Garrett.
Hello there. How are we doing?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. How are you?
Great. Fantastic.
Well, we've got a whole host of football to get into, starting all the way back from Monday. But should we talk about one of the main stories coming out of this week? Chris Wilder leaves Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Rock bottom Sheffield United, shall we add?
Yeah, I mean, there's stupid decisions and there's stupid decisions, isn't there? Chris Wilder, who's got him up two seasons on a bounce and then got him potentially challenging for the Euros last season and then European Championships last season and then, oh yeah, we'll get rid of him. You'd have thought he was the perfect man to get him back up into Premier League after next season, but yeah, what a stupid decision that is.
Them Muppets from Leeds, as always, Al.
As always.
But speaking of Muppets from Leeds, shall we talk about Chris Wilder's replacement of Paul Eckenbottom?
Yeah. I mean, he must have been on... It looks like he were there for under 23s, which I'm just looking at. I thought I'd have a quick look at what his stats were, why he were there, because it's such a random appointment. And so it looks like it under 23 managers, and now he's the caretaker manager. But I mean, what a shit job for him. He's going to be there to just sit on the sideline and see a side get demoted. I mean,
yeah,
somebody's got to do it, but why him? Because he hasn't done it anywhere else. It's not like he's had a fantastic managerial career anywhere. So
it's Sheffield United. It's all about having to pay the least amount of money while still being a football club. That he's under 23s. He's already employed. Let's just give him the job, and we'll find someone in summer.
That's what it is. Hopefully, he'll sort of keep his job as under 23s manager. But yeah, it's poor by Sheffield for me. It's really poor.
Yeah, I do feel bad for Chris Wilder. He's not been given the resources to build a team that's going to even challenge for bottom half of the Premier League. I mean, they were shocked last season to be as far up as what they were, and then I think everyone did predict them to drop off a bit, but probably not to this extent. He'll end up with a high-end championship job, I think, next season.
I think he's a fantastic. With him being from Sheffield United, he sort of had he didn't like Leeds, and Leeds didn't like him. So I can't say I liked him as a manager at that, but he were a good manager. As a footballing terms, he were a good manager. And I think any championship or even low-level Premiership sides looking to go up next season would be lucky to have him. He knows what he's doing, and it showed at Sheffield United. He built a team how he wanted to play, and he showed that how that played worked. He just needed probably a good 50 million, maybe 60 million poured into that team to survive this season. And Sheffield United didn't want to do that. They didn't seem like they're bothered about doing that either. So
yeah, as this episode of Stand Your Ground is titled, there is only 9 games left of the Premier League after this roundup. Sheffield United, with 9 games left, are 14 points off safety. There's no way they're going to bring it back and hope that West Brom, Fulham, and Newcastle all drop that amount of points. We've got another comment, Al saying, feel bad for him. Every team he leaves then goes on to do well. Leeds and Barnsley.
Yeah.
Yeah, we might be seeing Barnsley back in Prem next season.
Absolutely fantastic what they've been doing right now. I think they're 8 games unbeaten in Championship, challenging for playoffs from a side which has got no backing. That is fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna get up the Championship table. Let's have a look. Here we go. So yeah, Barnsley sitting in 6th, level on points with Reading, only behind on goal difference. Closest to them taking that spot is Bournemouth, who sit on 56. So they've got a good.
They've just beat Bournemouth as well.
Yeah, so they've got a good 5-point cushion in the bottom bit of the playoffs. The problem would be that at this moment in time, if the Championship table was to finish as it is, pending Swansea don't win the game in hand, they'll either have to play Swansea or Watford in the playoff semis, which is a difficult task for them.
I mean, look, it's what they want to do. It's Leeds United 3 seasons ago, where they wanted to challenge for top half at table, but they didn't want to win. And even though you think if you're a Barnsley fan right now, you're like, oh, we're 6, we could be in Premier League next season, we could be. But if you're going to be realistic, if you go up in Premier League next season, you've got no financial backing. Who are you going to sign? Who are you going to bring in? Who are you going to strengthen side with? It's no one. Who are you going to bring in? Unless you've got someone really good who's tactically fantastic at the helm, Barnsley fans don't want to go up next season. They just don't want to lose anybody in summer. And then they want to build again and potentially challenge for that top 4, that 3rd place, that 2nd place. That's where they want to challenge for. And they want to build a squad to challenge for that. And I don't think they've got that right now. And I think they're running a high. So they want to finish where they are, maybe do challenge for playoffs, play them playoffs. But if I were a Barnsley fan, I'd be you want to win everything, but I'd be looking not to win in the playoffs and stay in the Championship just for another season. But I know how hard it is as a Leeds fan to get out of the Championship, so it might do them well, but they can't come up.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this Championship table, there isn't a team on paper that I see coming up and doing anything. Like the 2 teams that top the table at the moment, Norwich have absolutely run away. They've got a 10-point lead over Watford. But again, Norwich have pretty much got the same squad that they went down with, minus a few exceptions. I don't see them coming up and doing anything. Watford, unless they sell Sarr and get a decent bit of money and invest properly, I just can't see them doing anything. The one team that, although they're not as high up the table as what I thought they would be this season, but I would have thought Brentford would have had a good go in Premier League if they'd have got through playoffs last season.
Yeah, I think the squad last season with a few people they got rid of, as in like Ollie Watkins and Benrahma. The name had eluded me. Benrahma, who I spoke to about other people, to other fans who are in Championship, were probably the best player in the Championship when they played for Brentford. It was absolute quality. If that squad went up, yeah, I'd agree with you. It might have done better, and I think it probably would have done better than what West Brom's done this season. I'd like to see him go up, but maybe that's just I like Janssen at back, and I'd like to see him in Premiership, even if it's just for one season.
Yeah. So we'll quickly run through the games that we did miss. So we'll run through the midweek ones, and we'll talk about the weekend ones a lot better, or more in depth, should I say? A lot better. That's a terrible phrase to say. While we were on air last week, when we went off air, Spurs were drawing 1-1 with Palace. Game ended 4-1 Spurs. The Gareth Bale and Harry Kane show, and Jesus Christ, Harry Kane scored an absolute screamer in this game.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean, you talk about a fantastic outside area strike. He bent that so well. That was fantastic goal. I mean, it's probably one of the best goals I've seen this season. It's fantastic. Yeah,
it's weird. We might get onto Tottenham scoring good goals.
Yeah, we might do. And Bale looks like he's doing really well again. Yeah, I mean, we'll get onto it, but Bale looks like he's becoming the Bale we've seen before, which is great.
Then on to the Monday night, Chelsea picked up a 2-0 win over Everton. Story of this is Kai Havertz playing like the Kai Havertz that was at Bayer Leverkusen. He was unfortunate that the goal got given as an own goal for Ben Godfrey. It would have been nice to see Kai Havertz have that go down as his goal. But yeah, I think we both said, with Jack, who was on last week as well, said that we couldn't see Everton coming away with a win from Stamford Bridge, and I mean, Thomas Tuchel's just got Chelsea playing really well.
Yeah, they've set up not to. They always set up not to lose, and you see that in how they play, how fast they get back, and how Tuchel actually has a go at the defenders and the CDMs to get back and get in position really, really, really fast. And well, we'll get onto it, but we saw it against Leeds this weekend. They get back so fast, and they'll do well. It's just a shame he came in so late into the season. I think if he started the season, you'd probably put him up. I'd probably say Chelsea would be up there with City this season.
They would have probably put up a better. They'd probably put up a better challenge than what we have trying to get to City.
I don't know. Like, you've done really well. I mean, you've dropped off. 3 draws in 5. You've dropped off, but you've done really well with what you haven't really improved on what you had last season. You know what I mean? Like, and to say that your manager's he's not really experienced, you haven't improved the squad. Like, Luke Shaw's your best left back, and you brought in somebody else to play there. Cavani's barely playing, and Van der Beek's on bench. So the players you brought in to strengthen the squad aren't even impacting the squad. So yeah, I think you've done better than what I'd expect as a Man United fan.
Yeah, and some would argue that our best player's on loan. And speaking of that, West Ham 2, Leeds United 0. Jesse Lingard getting the first goal after missing his penalty. And then Craig Dawson. And this was really a tale of everything went right for Leeds until it came to shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. Jesse Lingard in first, I'd say, for 40 minutes looked lively, looked good. And you just knew that he was going to be on the score sheet against Leeds. As a former Man United player or Man United player, he's looking fantastic at the moment, and it kills me to say that. And it's the same old story. We come up against a big side, and they seem to score an header against us, but we couldn't finish. We had 5-6 clear-cut chances, and we couldn't finish, and we haven't scored now in 3 games. I want to say 4, really, but 3 games, I think, we haven't scored in open play, so yeah, it's becoming a bit of a problem, that.
Yeah, well, something that's not a problem for Man City, clearly, because they won on Wednesday against Southampton, a game that was postponed, I think, due to an FA Cup fixture or a positive COVID test. I can't remember which one it was. But City scoring 5-2 against Southampton. De Bruyne with 2, Mahrez with 2, and Gundogan with 1. And then the 2 goals for Southampton were a penalty from James Ward-Prowse, which was a clear penalty. You can't pull Vestergaard back like that.
No.
And then and Shea Adams continuing his goal scoring form.
Yeah. Southampton look like they're putting a good fight, but at the moment, Man City, I mean, except from playing Man United, seems to be dominant. And if you make a mistake, you concede against them. But I will say I only caught a bit of this and caught some highlights. Foden got brought down by keeper. I don't know if you've caught this.
Oh yeah,
and it's a clear penalty. I mean, you don't even need to go to VAR to say it's a penalty, but he stays on his feet and then don't get the penalty afterwards. I don't know about you, but that's just totally trash, just crap. How's that worked?
Yeah, that's it. You know what? On another day, if his studs get stuck in the mud there, it could be an ankle breaker from Alex McCarthy, I think it is, that's in goal at that point. But to be fair, the player for me that I think stood out the best was Riyad Mahrez. He looked like the player that they signed from Leicester. We do have a comment here, though. Thomas Tuchel's far from defensive, one of the best positional play coaches in the world, will do great next season and was great at Dortmund. He was, but unfortunately it didn't work for him at PSG. I don't know whether it was one of those things of PSG had all the financial backing, and yes, they won the league. Because other than this season, there might be a chance that PSG don't win the league this season. But it's a case of big ego players not wanting to play for the manager. Because Tuchel clearly has the managerial capability to pull a team from down in the dumps, I'd say, and then revitalise them like he's done with this Chelsea side.
Yeah, like you say, he's pulled Chelsea through. I didn't follow him at PSG and I didn't follow him at Dortmund, to be honest, because I never heard of him before I went to Chelsea. But yeah, he looks fantastic. And it looks like he can pull through it, like you say. He can pull it as a squad. He's not scared of dropping players and rotating squad, which a lot of managers can be sort of culprit to that. Like I'd say Klopp is. He likes playing his first 11 and until it gets injured. I know Bielsa's like that. You've got your best 11, you play your best 11. But I think with Chelsea's squad, it's probably one of the best squads. It's on there on par with probably say City's squad, and he needs to use it all. And I think he's a good manager to use it all.
Yeah. We'll come back on to talking about Chelsea when we get to Saturday's games. But starting this game week was Newcastle versus Villa on the Friday night. A pretty boring opening first half. But Villa took the lead through Kieran Clark own goal, which was a header from Ollie Watkins, just deflected and it went into the top corner. Unfortunate for Kieran Clark coming up against his former team, but then Jamal Lascelles in the 94th minute getting Newcastle an equaliser, and they really, really needed the point because they're in a scrap with Fulham at the moment.
Yeah, it's a great point for Newcastle. Fantastic point. And to be honest with you, the way they pressed in the last 15, 20 minutes of the game, yeah, absolutely. They should have probably maybe got 2, maybe 3. They looked really good. And they didn't give Aston Villa a chance. But they defended well, and Villa's probably got, is it one of the best defences in the league at the moment? Statistically, anyway. So it's a great point for the relegation battle right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all. Well, I've said it since January that I think if a team is to stay up, I want Fulham to stay up, and I think Newcastle need to go down because I really think they need to strip the squad bare and start again. Because I just don't think. One, I don't think Steve Bruce is a decent manager. I really, really think he's shite. But other than Saint Maximin, Joelinton's been a little bit better, but he's still not the striker that they paid 40 million for. I mean, who really wants to have a midfield consisted of John Joe Shelby and the Longstaff brothers? Yeah.
It were arguably the Joelinton's best game against Aston Villa in a Newcastle shirt. But he didn't look like he were sort of a predator in front of goal. Like he didn't look like he had a knife at goal. I agree with you. Probably could do with going down, stripping, selling some of the players. That Saint Maximin looks a really good player. I just don't think it's a player you want on your roster when you're challenging for relegation. He's not a player who's going to do the defensive work and stay switched on for 90 minutes, 80 minutes of a game. And he's not that player who's going to give you that, but he's that player who's going to give you that spark that he'll get a goal. He'll get you 1 or 2 goals. His quality to watch when he's on his game. You put him in a side which is in top 6 and you think, wow, he's a world beater. But for a side like Newcastle right now, it's not the team he wants to be playing in right now. And obviously, like Fulham, who looks like they might be able to get out of it against Newcastle. I hope they stay up. I think the way they're playing right now, I hope they stay up.
I mean, I've always wondered why Steve Bruce has stuck with Joelinton and not played. What's his name? Dwight Gale. Because I think Dwight Gale's a really good goal scorer. I don't understand why nobody's taken a chance on Dwight Gale being this clinical goal scorer. Because when he does start, the man scores goals. Like, yes, he's got his injury problems, and whether there's attitude problems behind the scenes, I don't know. But I think that someone needs to take a chance on Dwight Gale. If you're in the bottom half of that Premier League table, if you're a West Brom or Sheffield United, Newcastle, Brighton, someone like that, I think he's the kind of striker that gets you out of those fights.
Yeah, he seems to do it at Championship, and he seems to be that like first team striker at Championship, and he's done it many seasons over, where he's got teams promoted and he's been a top scorer in Championship. But yeah, you're right. He doesn't seem to sort of get that opportunity. They always seem to, whoever he gets them up with, that be, I think he's played at West Brom, he's played at Newcastle, and it's sort of like, right, we're in Premiership now, we need someone better. And yeah, you're right. Give him a chance. He's a goal. He is a goal scorer. He's quick. He's athletic. He's a goal scorer. He's quality. You're not gonna. They're not sides to hoofball into box and look for an header. And if they're going to do that, then you start Andy Carroll, don't you? So, which they have on bench, which don't seem to play. So,
yeah. So we'll move on to the Saturday game. The Saturday opening game, should I say?
Yeah.
Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. You know what? Like, this gets thrown around a lot, but this is a very entertaining 0-0. Like, it's a very entertaining goal to draw.
Yeah.
The unfortunate news coming out for Leeds is that obviously Patrick Bamford ended up getting taken off with an injury, and then Rodrigo came on for him, and then ended up going off himself and went straight down the tunnel. Obviously, Rodrigo's just come back from it. I believe it were a knee ligament injury or something to do with his knee. Scored a hat trick in the under 23s he played. Then came on as a sub against West Ham. Then came on a sub at this game and is back out injured. Obviously, we don't know the extent of the injuries at the moment, but it seems like a big blow because I really think you've been missing Rodrigo.
Yeah, I like Rodrigo. I think Roberts has done a good job. I just think Roberts, it's the final bit of his play which just puts him on bench. We have missed Rodrigo. I hope he isn't injured. Like I say, he came back under 23, scored a brace, didn't score an hat trick. Looked good when he came on bench the other week, last game, and then got brought off. I didn't think they got brought off because of an injury. He looked tired. He didn't look like he were up to match sharpness, but it might have been an injury. And then Bamford, it seems like that's just dead leg. What's just come up on my phone. It just seems like he's hit his leg, dead leg, couldn't play. And you think Bamford's not the most prolific scorer, even though he's got 13, 14 goals this season. His best play, the most he brings inside is that mobility. And if you got a dead leg, you're not bringing that into side, are you? So they had to bring him off.
No.
But yeah, good game. And I think we had the better chances to score, and it was a 0-0 draw against someone in fourth place. So we'll take it.
We'll jump in and out between things when comments come in, but we do have another comment. If Callum Wilson would have been fit all season, you won't be having this conversation. Just exposes the squad depth. I mean, there's still part of me that thinks the games that Callum Wilson's played, I know he's scored a few goals. I don't think he's been the signing that they expected him to be from Bournemouth.
No. I wanted him at Leeds when we first went up. I wanted him. I wanted Josh King. To be honest with you, I'd love to just raid Bournemouth. Some of the players they've got down in Championship. Lewis Cook is in there, which I'd love to have. I think he'd fill that centre mid role what Leeds are missing right now. But yeah, I wanted Callum Wilson so badly. But even when he has been fit, you're right. He hasn't looked like he's been a great goal scorer. I mean, if you stay fit, you get better, he gets into form, and he probably is. I mean, I think he could probably fit into any side in that sort of mid-range, mid-table side. And he'd probably fit into it and do well. But
yeah,
he hasn't looked the best.
Yeah. So we'll jump back to that Leeds game because there's one question that I want to ask you. Obviously, you're a Leeds United fan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's the best game that Tyler Roberts has played in the Premier League?
All right. He got man at match from the commentators, which really surprised me at the time because he did a lot. I think he got another goal disallowed again. Well, that's 2 in 2 games. And he were active and he did play well. But for me, there's something missing. His final ball or his way he dribbles. Something's missing, which is making him be sort of someone who I consider being in the starting lineup for us. For his performance in the Premier League, it's probably his best performance, and I think he's getting better and better in the Premier League. He's getting up to standard, but with nine games to go, you don't want to be getting up to standard. You want players who are at the standard. He performed quite well last in Championship, and he's just a player who's been riddled with injuries, which has really hit his career badly. But hopefully, if he stays fit, hands on heart, stays fit, he could probably be a really good sub next season and towards back into the season. But I can't see him starting.
You could see him starting as a striker in your game against Fulham this week.
Yes, because even if Bamford, if it is just a muscle injury, you probably say it might be still staying at bench. Hopefully Rodrigo's fit, and you'd probably say Tyler Roberts starts up front, which I don't mind against Fulham. But Fulham are looking really well drilled now. They're looking fantastic. We'll get onto the Man City game, but they looked really well. They're really well drilled, really well organised, and I think I'm hoping for Fulham to stay up because I want to see what Scott Barker can do in another season. If they can keep the sort of the lone players, I'll be hoping to see what he can actually do in Premier League next season.
But moving on to a team that probably won't be in the Premier League next season, Palace 1, West Brom 0, and I thought this was one of the most unfortunate games for West Brom because they really put Palace to the sword in the first half, and then one handball decision and West Brom fell apart.
Yeah, it was clear as day as handball as well. It went to VAR, and did it go to screen? I want to say. Yeah,
he went to screen to check.
But it was clear as day. I can remember it in my head. I only saw highlights of it. But it was clear as day. He sort of moved to it, but his arms out, making his body bigger, and it's hitting below elbow. Like, it's clear as day. I don't know how VAR. I can't keep slagging VAR off, but I don't know. It's just not. Yeah, it's a penalty. I don't know why VAR are going, oh, can you go have a look at that? Confirm that we're doing well. But yeah, it's unlucky for West Brom, but no, I don't know. I can't say that that's the performance what's put the nail at coffin for them, but I can't see him catching Fulham, and if they can't catch Fulham, they're not coming out of so.
When West Brom get relegated, I should say, you've got to look at their squad and think who are teams going to look at from their squad that they could pull out to take next season. You wouldn't be surprised if a team coming up decided to have a go at Sam Johnson, or a team in the Prem took him as a second choice keeper. Darnell Furlong, I think he's a really decent right back. I know he gave away the penalty, but I think he's a decent young player. But the one that I was really impressed with in this game, and I thought, but he's only on loan, which is the hard thing, is that Yukuşlu, that Turkish CDM that they've signed. He's a tough tackling midfielder, but he's that kind of tough tackling midfielder you need in the Prem. He's not the he's not the quickest, he's not the most flairful player, but he'll put a challenge in and he'll put his head where it hurts, and he's the kind of person you need for a relegation battle.
Yeah, I can't say I've seen much of him, but that's what you want as a CDM. You don't want flair. You look at arguably the best CDM in Premier League and in world in Kante. He's not somebody who gets ball to his feet and he'll do step overs and he'll beat a man and he'll take it forward and do this and that and score you a goal. He beats the man. He gets the ball back and he plays a 5-yard pass, and he's the best at it. And that's what you want from a CDM. It's sort of what you get from Calvin Phillips at Leeds. Calvin Phillips likes a longer pass, but that's what you want. And yeah, you're right. He looks good. But two players you didn't sort of name for West Brom is that Ajayi at centre half and Gallagher. I've been really impressed with Gallagher in centre park. He's on loan from Chelsea, but I can't see him even getting used at Chelsea, even if he goes back. So you'd like to say mid-table champion Premier League side's got to go in for him. He looks really well, and he He don't look out of place in the relegation battle. And I think if you don't look out of place in the relegation battle and you're looking to really get your head involved, when it's a bit easier, when you don't have sort of that pressure on you, when you're in the, say, 8th to 15th place in that comfortable position, that I think that's where you can shine. And I think Gallagher going to a different team next season in that mid-table, I think he could look really well.
Yeah, because I saw a thing pop up and it said something like Chelsea are in transfer talks about Conor Gallagher's future. And I thought I'd have a look at it. And the rumours that were being thrown around were that Palace had put an £8 million bid in for him. And at £8 million, that's an absolute steal for someone who's that young, who's got that much potential to grow. But then again, I don't think Palace would be the right team for him to go to.
No, because they're boring as well. I don't like him as a side. I don't know if it's just how Roy Hodgson set him up. But I don't like him. I think they're a boring side. Then he needs to go to a bit of a quicker side, a bit of a more counter-attacking side. Villa might be doing well, but if any team can get him for $8 million, Jesus Christ, what a steal!
Yeah. So on to the next game. Everton 1 and Burnley 2. Two good goals from Burnley. This Chris Wood with that curling effort that goes round. I think it's Godfrey curls it round, and then Dwight McNeil just absolutely levers one to the top corner. I didn't know he had that in his locker. I know he's a good player, but I didn't know he had that in his locker.
Yeah, I can't say I knew who he was, like McNeil, before he bends that into the top corner from outside area. What a goal. A fantastic goal. He beats a player, takes on his left foot and bends it into top left-hand corner. Fantastic. He looked good, but he apparently has been looked good all season. He's been one of bright sparks at Burnley this season. Hopefully carries on. Chris Wood, another good goal, and he just proves that he is just a goal scorer. Don't matter where he is in, what league he's in, he'll probably score goals. I'm not saying he's going to score loads of goals, but he is at Burnley, so I'd like to see him. I'd like to see, he's just a big brute who can finish ball, so I'd like to see him up the table and see what he can do against a side who can give him a few more chances.
Yeah, and I mean, it's about time that Calvert-Lewin also starts getting his goals in. It's weird that he scored, just before the England internationals. It's like he's trying to get into the squad or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But obviously, we'll talk about the final game from that Saturday, and one that we've already alluded to. Fulham 0, Man City 3. Other than John Stone's goal, it's a tale of a few mistakes by a Fulham side who looked decent in the first half.
Yeah, they're just a side who look well drilled, and it were 2-3 mistakes, which you can't give a team like City. If you give them mistakes to a side in mid-table, they might not score them, or it's not as worrying. But Man City are looking so dangerous this season that you can't give them it. And when you're in the relegation fight, you are going to give away mistakes, but they look so well drilled. And this I want to see Scott back in the Premier League next season. They've got a lot of loan players, so if they get them loan players back, maybe a few more signings, I'd like to see what he could do with this, how he sort of developed this Fulham side. It just seems to be getting better and better. They just got into Premier League last season, winning playoffs, and they might just scrape out of it, out at relegation fight this season. I don't know if they will. I don't know if Newcastle and Brighton will drop them points, but I know Fulham probably will pick up a few more points in the last 9 games of the season. So I think it's going to be a really good watch for the last 9 games.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the starting lineup from this Man City game. Areola's on loan, Tosin Dirabayo's on loan, Joachim Andersen's on loan, Anina's on loan, Lamina's on loan, Luckman's on loan, and Loftus-Cheek's on loan. So they've got Cavallero, Anguissa, and Harrison Reed, and that Kenny Tete. So they've got 4 players out of their starting 11 that are actually their players. To even sign 7 players in a summer transfer window is asking a lot. They'll probably ask for a few back on loan. Oh, give us another season with them. We'll see.
Yeah, like signing of Loftus-Cheek, I could probably see him making that permanent. Like, he's just one of them players who looked really, really, really good at Chelsea. Never really made it at Chelsea. Never really made it anywhere else, but looks quite good. I could probably see him making a permanent home at Fulham. Lookman, no chance for me. He looks too good. He looks so quick on that left hand side. I can't see him. I can't see him being in a bottom side Premier League side if he comes back to Premier League. Is he at Leipzig? Is he from Leipzig, Germany?
Yeah, he's at Leipzig.
I could see them keeping him. Or he's going to come back to a top team. He looks really, really good. Good young talent.
We've got a comment here saying, is it a good time to talk about Phil Foden? What a great player. Can you see him making the Euro squad and making an impact for England? 100%. I think he's one of the first players on that England 23 that goes to the Euros. Whether he starts or not is another question, because I feel like, although I think he's a better player than Mason Mount, I think Gareth Southgate rates Mason Mount more.
Yeah.
And I'd reckon we'd see Phil Foden in a substitution kind of role, or playing like, the third group stage match when we've already qualified kind of thing.
Yeah, I love Phil Foden this season. I think he looks really, really well, but I think it's easier to look well in a Man City side doing well. But he looked good when Man City wasn't doing well, so that sort of speaks volumes. But he's unfortunately in the position where we've got so many, as an England squad, centre attacking creative midfielders, either next to him or above him. I can't see him beating Grealish out. I can see him maybe. I would like him to see him beat Mason Mount out, but like you've just said, Southgate loves Mount for some reason. So I can see Mount, and Mount's doing well at Chelsea at the moment. So you could say he's probably earned it, but he's definitely going to go. I would say he's definitely going to go. How much he plays and how much he start. I don't think he'll start. I think he'll beat out Maddison, but I don't think he'll start. He'll be on bench, maybe a first choice sub.
Yeah, because if it weren't for Harvey Barnes' injury, I would have said that Harvey Barnes would have gone to the Euros over Maddison. But now that he's picked up this injury in the way that Maddison's been playing for Leicester recently, I could see Maddison sneaking maybe like a reserve spot just in case someone gets injured kind of thing. But I don't think he'll be in that first 23-man squad.
No.
So on to the Sunday games. First game of the day, Southampton 1, Brighton 2. I've really, really cursed Southampton because when they were like top 3, I said, oh, look, this will be the year of the underdog and Southampton will win the league. They're now 7 points off being relegated. They're sit 14th, and with Brighton picking up this win, Brighton are just, again, this tale of every season, clawing their way to safety bit by bit.
Yeah, we talked about this a bit last week, that Brighton, the performances they've had don't warrant them being in the 16th position. But they're in this position every single season, so is it worth sort of, I was talked about Newcastle before, letting them go down, rebuilding, and then coming back up? And because there's not worse than a side who just sits in the Premier League and just sits there and narrowly avoids relegation every season just to be in the Premier League. You want to come up, you want to challenge. Southampton, I can't say I've watched a lot of them, but yeah, you've cursed them. I'll blame you. Well, I like the squad. I like who they've got. They've got that Teller who looks fantastic. Danny Ings is probably one of my favourite strikers in league, and it's so upsetting that he's so injured all the time. I think they might just have that cushion to keep them from relegation this season, but if Burnley, Brighton, Newcastle maybe start picking some points up, they're going to be right in it on last day of the season. They need to start picking some sort of wins up, some points up.
Yeah, I think they've been a bit unlucky with some of the games. Like they played. I don't agree with what Paul Merson said, and it really annoyed me when I heard him on Soccer Saturday say that he thought that Southampton's performance against Man City was the best they've ever performed in this season. I don't agree with that. I mean, they lost 5-2 still, but I think they've been very unlucky to play well in games and not come away with a result. Kind of the same as what Brighton have as well, because Brighton have been very unlucky. But yeah, it's just one of those things. The centre-backs started this season on absolute fire. They were keeping teams out quite comfortably, and Vestergaard's not been at the back, been a rock-solid defender like he was at the start of the season. And God, Bednarak, I don't know what's happened to him. He ended up, what were it? Penalty, red card in Man United game, red card rescinded, penalty, red card in next game.
Yeah,
it just kills your confidence.
As a centre half is very much like a striker. You play on confidence. You play on your last. You play on your last performances. How you played. It's sort of the confidence from that game, and Southampton just can't seem to get out their own heads, and that centre half can't seem to get out of his own head, and it's really weird. You look back at before Christmas, how they played. I think I've said it myself. I thought they might get top 6 this season. They might get European football this season. And now we're talking about them potentially Fulham beating them out for last place in relegation fight if they don't buck up. It's been a mad season all the way through, and I don't think anybody would have predicted how this is going to end, even if it were just a guess. I don't think anybody would be able to predict how this is going, but yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame with Southampton,
but we do have another comment. When you mentioned Conor Gallagher, Southampton would be an ideal team under Ralph Hasenhüttl on the day. They are one of the best counter-attacking teams in the Premier League. I feel the fixture congestion has hurt them due to their pressing game. Yeah, I mean, ideal. Can you imagine 2 midfielders of Conor Gallagher and James Ward-Prowse? They'd have a field day with Romeu sitting in just behind him as well when he's not injured. They could have a really, really decent counter-attacking midfield.
Yeah, well, they did at the start of the season. Simple as that. Romeu, I always knew about him, but when I watched him against Leeds, and unfortunately, that's where I think he's fractured his tibia or something like that. He's done himself in for the end of the season, and that's really a shame. And it's probably down to Leeds' pitch. So sorry, sorry, Southampton. But yeah, Gallagher probably a really good fit for Southampton. A young English centre mid who could do with some development, and then go on to a bigger side like Liverpool, because that's sort of the progression of English midfielders.
It's the progression of Southampton players.
That's it. So yeah, it could be, but that's if they stay up. But yeah, you're right. I'd see him at Southampton. I could see him at Southampton, maybe Villa. I'd like to say Leeds, but I think it's a bit boring for me to say any good player will end up at Leeds. So I won't say Leeds.
So on to the next game, and I mean, when you face a team that's just had the manager sacked, you kind of worry because you think you don't know what team's going to turn up. But Leicester's absolutely battered managerless Sheffield United 5-0. And I've got to admit, I was quite happy seeing Idiot Nacho get an hat-trick.
Yeah. It's good to see him sort of perform on his own in the Premiership. Like, he came through at City, but you always thought it were a striker at City. They're going to get goals. I'm pretty sure you could probably stick anybody up front at City and they're going to get some sort of goals. They're going to look good. But yeah, it's good to see him start getting some goals. It's a shame that we sort of alluded to Chris Wilder, how bad it is that they've got rid of him, but I think it's what they deserved. I think how a team responds to a manager sacking sort of comes into who they bring in as a manager and if the players want to play for that manager. And I don't think it matters who they bring in. I mean, they've got Eckingbottom for some reason. It don't matter who they bring in. The players aren't going to play for him because they know that's not going to be the manager. So I could see him getting thrashed week in, week out till the end of the season now. I can't see him doing anything at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen what their run of fixtures are or who they've got next. Let's have a look. Saturday. Oh, yeah, because next week we go into an FA Cup break, so they don't have a game. So luckily they might have an FA Cup game, I can't remember. So they're not in the league. They're not playing in the league next week.
They have Chelsea next in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. So somehow they've still got into the quarterfinals, which is weird. And then they face Leeds on 3rd of April. Leeds at home.
Yeah, so you can't see that. I'm going to say you can't see them picking up a win. But then again, it's Leeds. So you never know. Yeah, again, I think I'm going to keep touching on Iheanacho because I think he was the forgotten man at Man City, and he was until they bought Jesus, he was going to be the replacement for Aguero when Aguero went. Then Leicester signed him, and it looked like an incredible signing, seeing he'd been banging goals in for Man City. And then he just had a poor run of form, wasn't able to stay fit, wasn't able to find the back of the net, but he's been on fire the second half of this season, and hopefully, for Leicester's sake, he continues that form and he ends up being the replacement that they need for Jamie Vardy when he ultimately moves on.
Yeah, let's hope so. I just don't think I don't think you'll ever see a striker like Jamie Vardy again. Not in the fact that he's scoring goals, but he's just crazy. He's energetic and he's such a good finisher. I don't think you'll ever see a striker who'll be able to replace him fully as a person, as a squad member. But Iheanacho, it's a staple performance, and it puts him right there and keeps him in line-up, and I think that's what he needs. I think he needs to play. He needs to be starting games. He needs to be around playing good minutes in games in Premiership. Let's hope he is that striker for Vardy, that replacement for Vardy. But Vardy, how he plays, he could probably play till he's 40. It could be Ibrahimovic. Just run.
So onto the game that's just taken place. Arsenal 2, Spurs 1. We kind of need to break this down into two things. Firstly, Jesus Christ, Eric Lamela. What a goal. He's done it again. He scored another Ramona. And then, Jesus Christ, Eric Lamela. What the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah. My dad's and my daddy. It really does not rate Lamela, and to be honest with you, I don't share his views. I like Lamela. I think he's a really good technical player, and that Rabona was absolutely beautiful. I mean, there's going to be a few goals which are up for goal at month this month, but that'll be right up there. It makes the player stick it in bottom corner, and he's Rabona'd it along floor. That takes some skill. And then he elbows somebody in the face and gets sent off. So Tottenham are could potentially look so dangerous, but yet still look so far off where they need to be.
Yeah, we'll come back onto this game because we have another comment. Why Sheffield United parted ways with Wilder bemuses me. He was the person who restored their club. It was Sheffield United. Teams need to look at a 5-year period. Norwich are a great example for this. Keep Wilder and build on the success. Yeah, I do agree. I think he was there 6 or 7 years. I think he ended up being manager there. But he took them all the way from League One back up to the Premier League, which is more than what Sheffield United really wanted. Yeah. And then I reckon the board got their hopes up after that first incredible season, and then couldn't be asked dealing with him back in the Championship, and just went, right, we'll just find someone else who's going to bring us straight back up because they're going to get a hell of a lot of money from this parachute payment. I'm sure it's like 100 million they get for just going down.
Yeah, but it's almost like they thought, oh, Premiership's not that hard, and just thought the squad they had would probably be able to at least do what they did last season. Like, oh, no's changed. No team, the other teams won't adapt, and sadly they figured out that that's not the case, and that the league gets sort of harder every season that it plays. You talk about the parachute payment. I think if they don't bring in a good manager in summer, I don't think it matters if they have a parachute payment or not, because the board don't seem to want to spend money. So, because if they want to spend money, they try and bring in a good manager now before end of season. Try and sort of build how he wants to play when it comes to like harder games, and maybe put some sort of effort in and put some performance and put some motivation into the squad before the end of the season. So when it goes into Championship, they're rolling. I don't think they'll do that. I think they've got Eckenbottom, who will be there as there till summer, and they'll replace him in summer. I think they've got the squad, because I don't think they've got any players. We talked about this last week. They don't have any players who I'd say could be signed by a Premiership club that people would be looking to scalp. So I think that most of the squad will be as it is. So I think they've got the players to get back up. I just don't think they'll have the motivation without Chris Wilder.
Obviously, there's problems behind the scenes, because I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes before we came on air, Musset has been charged for a drink driving offence, will appear in court in June, which is obviously something that's taken place off the training ground. It's the players' fault. I think it said something like early hours of the 4th of January or something, and it's taken till this point for them to come up with a decision. Each their own. I mean, I would have thought that they could have done it, within the first couple of weeks and said, right, yeah, he was found guilty. It shouldn't have taken till March for him to say that. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheffield United pull in Slaven Bilic, because him leaving West Brom was unjustified in my eyes, and they thought, you know what, someone who's trying to play tactical football, he just ain't going to cut it in the Prem, so we'll bring Sam Allardyce in. If someone's going to bounce Sheffield United back, I would imagine that Slaven Bilic would probably be the man that you probably turn to, especially with the side that Sheffield United have. I think there's a few players that he could get playing, but that's just my opinion. And as we all know, football's a funny game. It'll probably be Paul Heckingbottom gets a full-time job.
Yeah, he'll do an half-decent job where we don't get slaughtered week in, week out, and Sheffield United board would go, 100 million, we'll keep this, and Eckenbottom will just stay with that squad. But yeah, that's a great sign for Sheffield United if they can do it.
Love a comment. Can I just say it's a great listener. Used to work with Brad and remember talking with him many night shifts about football. Keep it up, guys. Cheers, Billy.
Yeah, cheers, Billy. Long time no speak.
Ollie May, go Sports. That's a great contribution, Oliver. Cheers.
Thank
you. So yeah, on to the second part of this Arsenal Spurs game. Martin Odegaard, I think everyone who played FIFA, like 15, 14, knew this kid as the 14-year-old who was really skillful, signed for Real Madrid and was going to be the next like Ronaldinho, and then his attitude got in the way, shall we say. Thought he was better than what he was at 14. Maybe a bit of the classical being so young, thrown in, given a like 16 grand a week contract at 14 is probably not the best way to set up a star. But he had a really good loan spell at Sociedad last season, came back, played a bit for Real Madrid, wasn't getting the game time that he wanted, but he was still performing for Norway. Him and Haaland will be a fucking quality pairing for Norway going forward. But he's come to Arsenal, didn't look like he was going to do much, and then scored 2 in his past 2 games, one in Europa League, which took a big deflection, and this one did take a big deflection. But things seem to be going his way now.
Yeah, like you said, for people who played FIFA, especially career mode type player, know this kid, and for me, he's sort of like Jesse Lingard but younger. He's been a wonder kid for years, but the fact that he came through when he was 14, 15, I think he made his professional debut for Norway at 15 years of age. I want to say that.
I think so.
Becoming I think he was like the youngest kid to score or make a debut for Norway. But that's, what is he now, maybe 20? That's 5 years. That's a massive stretch where everybody still sort of knew where he was, and he never sort of hit the scenes because they thought that he was just going to keep getting better and better, sort of like Haaland is now, where he's just continually getting better. But like I said, it's not probably the best way to develop a youth lad, splashing money at him and putting him on the biggest stage in world football and going, oh yeah, you can do well. That's probably not the best way of doing that. I hope he does well at Arsenal. I think it was crying out for a good centre attacking mid from the void. What Ozil sort of left maybe 2 seasons ago before he left. I think Smith Rowe will fill in that role, and I think I feel sorry for him because he looks really good. Smith Rowe, he looks a really good player. But they brought in Odegaard, and they're going to play Odegaard, and I think they're probably going to look to either sign him or bring him back on loan next season. So Smith Rowe's probably going to get on bench a bit more than what he probably will looking to be. But he looks a really good player, and let's hope he continues the way he has been last week, 2 weeks, and getting a couple of goals and assisting.
Arsenal, to be fair, have probably got some. They played both Odegaard and Smith Rowe today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Did they play Saka as well, or am I making that up? I think yes, they played Saka as well. A front three of Odegaard, Saka, and Smith Rowe. And if you think Aubameyang's probably not going to be there for much longer, so say Eddie Nketiah as the main striker, they've got some decent young attacking options. The one that's obviously on the outskirts is Maitland-Niles. He's on loan at West Brom. It wouldn't hurt him to go on loan to a championship side, I don't think, and have a season there. Or even a season at like Wolves or someone where he'll get a bit of game time and he'll get to progress a little bit. But they for the future, Arsenal look like they've got a decent squad. But I think we've been saying this for 5-6 years now, that they look like they could do something.
Arsenal have been the squad which has just needed 2-3 players, and you could have said that about Arsenal. What for that in this decade? Every season. If they just had this player, if they just had this player, a good CDM, a good centre back, and I think they're sort of filling them cracks. But you're right, the youth players who are coming through, and I think I said this last week, the lack of fans really helping, I think, because I don't think the live abuse that get in stadiums for not doing something, or the sheer pressure, especially a massive club like Arsenal, the pressure you get from fans really, it'll either really boost your career or really, kill it at Arsenal. So the players who are coming through, like Saka looks fantastic, and he's got to go to the Euros for me. He looks really good. Smith Rowe's looking really good. Odegaard, if they can keep him, looked really good. Maitland-Niles, probably needs another loan. I'd see if he can stay in Premiership, keep that level going. Unless he goes to a Championship side, maybe like Brentford, if they don't get up the season, to challenge for that top place, that number 1 spot. And I know they've got more, and off the top of my head, I can't remember them. But say the 10th in table now, I think they've got better this side of the year. But 10th, if they finish 10th, I think that's a massive disappointment. I mean, you look at the teams what are above them, and you think they can't really finish above any of them, but they should be.
Level on points with Villa, who have a game in hand. and then they're 2 points off Liverpool and they're 4 points off Spurs, which obviously the marker for Arsenal is we want to be above Spurs, and they've not done it for a few seasons now, so they'll be disappointed. Finishing 10th is a horrible position for Arsenal to finish because it always used to be the joke. I'm sure you'll remember growing up of Arsenal just take fourth. They don't challenge for anything, but they'll just finish fourth. They're not even doing that now.
Yeah, like Wenger, it was sort of. I can remember the days where it was like, "Oh, Wenger needs to go. All he can do is fourth." And the team he's got, he should be challenging for the title, and they never seem to challenge for the title. The other time they challenge for the title, it's first 6 games at season, and then they drop off, and then they just get fourth. And yeah, for the last 2 seasons, they haven't been able to challenge Tottenham's position. Never mind top 4, but I will say the top. I've got the league open right now. The top 10 look. I mean, I think that's the strongest top 10 I've ever seen. Any of them could be in top 4, and you wouldn't even shake a head at with how they've been playing over last season, should I say. Everton just outside, Tottenham just outside, Liverpool outside top 4, top 6. Aston Villa, even though I don't really like them, they look really good this season, and they look like they could be in top 6. So I won't give it. It's not as bad as what it looks, but they should definitely be a lot higher than what they
are. Quickly, before we do go to a comment that we've just had, the current game that's taking place at the moment is Man United versus West Ham. It's 0-0, but just looking at the stats, West Ham have had 0 shots and 0 on target, and Man United have had 8 and 2. So I feel like that might be going one way at the moment. But to the comment that we've got, Arsenal have so much potential with the younger players, but who are the mentors to these players in the squad? Arteta has done a good job so far getting rid of the deadwood. Give him another 2 seasons, and I think they may be challenging. Yeah, you've got to think what are the senior players in that squad? Granit Xhaka, who, Jesus Christ, shite. I cannot stand Granit Xhaka. He's got a good long shot, but that's about it. Another one, David Luiz. He's got a great long shot, but Jesus Christ, he's not the player that was playing for PSG and Chelsea earlier on in his career. And then your next senior members are Aubameyang, who's normally captain, and yeah, he's probably good for the attacking side, but he's not going to give you defence much confidence. And then Hector Bellerin.
I like to see in sort of mentors, especially in the English side, the top English side. I think you can't go wrong with a strong. Experienced English, have a centre mid, centre back, and they don't seem to have it. They don't seem to have any English. I can't really think of a lot of English players what are Arsenal set from the young players. But sort of reading that comment, it does bring me back to just before Ozil left, and when Smith Rowe coming through, you sort of heard of Smith Rowe and Ozil were training together. Where Smith Rowe was sort of really like moulding himself in that position. And you thought, well, even though he was probably playing too much Fortnite, Ozil, he was doing his bit for the squad where he was trying to train the young lads through. And that's probably why you've seen the best of Smith Rowe at the moment. But yeah, you're right. Aubameyang, I don't rate him as a mentor figure. He's a goal scorer, and even he's struggled to do that this season. So Arsenal has to get rid of him. He's too old. Get him to a bigger club who will spend a bit of money for him and let him try and win a title. David Luiz is the biggest liability in the league, second to Granit Xhaka, and they've done good to get rid of Deadwood, but there's still Deadwood in the starting 11 and they still need to get rid of some.
Yeah, Billy came back with exactly no leaders setting the example for the players to adhere to. So many of the top 6 teams have no leaders setting the standard. Roy Keane is so underrated for what he did for the Manchester United team. I mean, that Manchester United team, yeah, Roy Keane was one, but you've got to think Roy Keane might have been one, but then you've got Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes was the same. And then when that generation ran, they had Wayne Rooney that was, unheard of as a youngster that just wanted to play and would lift the team around him. Ferdinand, as a centre-back was always going to lift the spirits of the team. Yeah, I do agree that I can't see anyone in that kind of sense in many teams in the Premier League now. It's kind of gone away from that side of football, but you do need those players. And I think, like we were saying about Yukushlu from West Brom, you need that tough tackling guy who's going to hit a challenge out of nowhere and fire up the crowd. Although there's no crowd at the moment, but yeah, you fire up a crowd and the players hear it and then they want to play.
There's nothing more Sunday League than hit them hard at start, let them know you're there, and let's get going. That's the standard way you want to play at. You hit them hard quick, and you're right. I'm looking at the squad. They're looking at the top 10, and you look at the sort of the big tacklers, the big sort of leaders. And I'm trying to say English, but apart from Liverpool with Jordan Henderson and Gerrard before him, there's no one in. There's no real leaders in there. I think Man United are probably lacking that, but I think McTominay could potentially, in a season or two, be that player for him. But outside of that, I like a good, strong CDM who can hit that tackle, who can sort of who could choreograph that team and sort of be in there and always be a solid player in there. And yeah, Roy Keane did that for Man United, as Billy said.
So while we finish off this game roundup, we might as well talk. I want to know your prediction for the Monday night game, which is Wolves versus Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool have been on a horrible run of form, but Wolves have not been the same team that they were since last season. Obviously, the Raul Jimenez injury really has kind of stalled what their progression would have been. Can you see them? Can you see Liverpool getting a win?
I can always see Liverpool getting a win. They're champions for a reason. But the form they've been on it is terrible. But they're not at home, so that seems to help them. Did they take a win in Champions League midweek or last week?
Yeah, they knocked Leipzig out.
So they might do well on back of that, and I can see Liverpool having a sort of a good run towards the end of the season, because even though they're 8th now, 8 points off top 4. I can't say I'm not getting there, but I can't see the top 4 not getting there. So I can see them going on a run. Wolves might be that team sort of just to take the loss against them and to springboard Liverpool into some form. But Wolves are an hard team. They're such an hard team to break down. They don't have Jimenez, and I think if they did have Jimenez this season, they'd be up there. But they're such a good team. Some of the players they've got in Neto and the likes and Podence, they're a fantastic side. So I couldn't say I would see it go. I can't see it being a draw, and I can always see Liverpool taking a 3 points from anybody. So I'll say Liverpool takes this. I don't think it'll be a confident win, but I think Liverpool will take it.
We have a comment. Brad, you're talking about Premier League or pro clubs. Bit of both. You got to track back though when you get the ball. And yeah. I'd say. I can see this being a 1-1 draw. I can see Liverpool. For some reason, I've just got this image: Salah to score a penalty. And
where's that come from?
But it won't be Mane that goes down, because as we know, Mane's selfish and he don't want to go down because he don't want Salah to score any goals. And I can see Wolves, Connor Cody scoring from a corner.
Yeah,
we'll go with that. That's my prediction. Jack, the boys are savage on pro clubs. Will beat any team out there. At us on PS4. Jesus Christ!
I can't believe you even flashed that.
I made the mistake of not reading it first. I don't read.
You saw it with Jack.
Yeah, pretty much. So before we do sign off, we'll have a quick run down the Premier League table. We'll start from the bottom. Obviously, Sheffield United, we've already mentioned, they're 14 points. The 12 points adrift of Fulham, 14 points adrift of Brighton, who are their safety mark, shall we say, of Newcastle in 17th. pretty much, we might as well just say they're relegated. We'll chop them off now. West Brom 10 points from safety. Sam Allardyce has done it before. I know there's 9 games left. It wouldn't surprise me.
It would for me. Them bottom 2, I think they've gone. 10 points, 9 games. I mean, I don't know the fixture list for West Brom, but it would surprise me if they get out of there. It really would.
Fulham 18th, 2 points off safety. I think we've both already said that we want to see Scott Parker keep Fulham up. And I really do hope that they get a few wins in the next games. You probably don't because they play you next, but they need some points from the next few results.
They're a side what are well drilled and they're doing well. And yeah, I'd like to see them take some points, but not from us. I'm hoping we'll break them down. I think we probably can, but because we're sort of relentless like Man City. But I'd like to see them up. But I think they're just as good as sort of the 3 teams above them. So I think it's anybody's shout that if they can stay up. But I do hope they can because I like Scott Parker at the moment. I think he's doing well.
Yeah. Then obviously we've got Newcastle and Brighton filling up the 2 spots just above them on 28 and 29 points respectively. Burnley and Southampton sit 14th and 15th, both on 33 points. Wolves 13th with 35. Leeds 12th with 36. Palace 11th with 37. And then going up to filling up the bottom half of the table, Arsenal are 10th with 41. So it's really close in that mid-table. One win for Wolves, or it jumps you a few places in that bit. It's cramped, but you're probably saying that's the safe zone. The teams that are in that position probably aren't going to go down.
Yeah, I'd probably say Wolves are that cut-off point right now. I can't see any. I think any team in that below Wolves are probably in danger, but Wolves is probably the cut-off point right now.
Then your top half, you've got 9 is Villa with a game in hand over 8th, which is Liverpool. Villa are on the same points as Arsenal at 41, Liverpool 43. Spurs, who lost today, obviously 7th, 45. Everton 46. West Ham 49, who are playing Man United at the moment. So 49 is including if it stays 0-0. Yeah. Chelsea 4th with 51. Man United 3rd with 55. Leicester top 2nd with 56, and then top. And we might as well just say Premier League champions for this season. Man City 71 points. As much as I hate to say it, I think we all kind of guessed end of December that they'd won the league.
Yeah, they've won the league. Give it trophy now. I mean, it'd be the greatest showing in history if you or Leicester City or Chelsea do a run which couldn't catch them. I mean, it'd be the best showing. It'll never get getting talked about, but they're so out ahead that they can drop 7 players and still win 3-0, which they did this weekend. So
yeah,
it's if they can do the quad. They're still on foot quad this season, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be it's one of those things. I think I said this last week. You're 14 points clear. Do you just rest some players in the Premier League and just focus on the Champions League now? It's the one title that Guardiola has not won as City boss. Just win that.
I think he'll go for the Champions League. I think he'll go gung-ho now. I think, like you say, he's got that bigger gap that he could probably sacrifice a few games and still win the title, win the Champions League, and then I don't think he'll win everything, but I'd like to see him in semi-final or even final at Champions League this season.
Jack, what's your prediction for the second half? I reckon the Man United draw with West Ham 0-0. It's just one of those games that's set up for we're absolutely battering them and just can't score. So that's my prediction for that. He also came with West Brom are down. He's no chance. They should have kept their old manager, Kasper. Yeah, Slaven Bilic. Like we said earlier, I think he's the perfect replacement for Chris Wilder at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
And one final comment before we do wrap up, Billy. When you look at what happened at Dortmund with Champions League final, Bundesliga title, then burning off massively, do you think the same is happening to Liverpool? Klopp does work his team so hard that it's a case of 3-4 years is the max cycle for a team like this before they rebuild. Yes, I agree that it's the similar thing that happened to Dortmund, but not to the same extent because Dortmund sold. You got to think Dortmund let Götze and Lewandowski both leave, and Hummels as well, then all go to Bayern Munich. Liverpool haven't sold these players. They've been hit horribly with injuries at the back. And you've just got to say some of the form's not been there. Alisson's not been the same keeper. He's made a hell of a lot of mistakes for a keeper of his class. Roberto Firmino, he's not a goal-scoring striker. He's a playmaker striker. So if you haven't got the service around him for him to pass to, like Salah and Mane have dipped in and out of form, you'd have thought maybe they would have tried to step up. But I don't think it's the same or the exact same, but I think it's similar to the Dortmund thing of the team's just burnt out. They need a summer off, and next season we might see the Liverpool of old back.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. But I don't think they'll need to rebuild. I think the squad they've got right now could probably challenge for title next season without any signings. But I do think that Klopp's probably going to leave. And I think that's probably the only reason why it'll be comparable to the cycle to Dortmund.
It'll be great, in August when we see Klopp is the new Germany manager and Rangers don't have a manager because Steven Gerrard has taken the reins at Liverpool.
Yep. You could probably put 50 quid on that happening, can't you?
So before we do finish up, I'm just going to play a quick little video. It's going to show you all the live podcasts that go here on the Buzz. Make sure that you check them out and make sure that you check out former episodes there on the video tab on Facebook. And if you're watching on YouTube, go to his channel, subscribe, and make sure that you click through our videos, which is really much appreciated. And go follow us on Twitter at WTBdotcom. But here's a little rundown of what goes live on the Buzz.
War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Tell them that's what we ready for. War. Bringing that to competitors. Till we see the confetti fall, be ready for war. Tell them I'm ready, any opponent. The crown heavy and every minute is chosen. A path only fit for kings, and you don't know what this court means. What did you enlist for? If it isn't getting more rings, then you gon' have to switch your team. Trust me, it gets more mean. I'm a nightmare going up against your dreams. First step is explosive like a bomb hit. Bet if I let it fly, I cannot miss. And you ain't got a chance at the top 10 when you getting clamped all night by a locksmith. On the block, throwing lobs to my top bigs. I'm a chef, no look, what's the top dish? Tie game, through the pressure as the clock ticks. Crossover, step back, hit a shot, switch.
Yeah, they're all the fantastic shows that go live on the Buzz. Make sure that you check them out with their start times as well. If you've not seen any of the stuff before, I do recommend that you go check out our previous videos. And make sure that you tune in live. If something goes live on the Buzz, you want to subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and like the page on Facebook. Make sure that you keep up to date with the live stuff because you can join in. As we've seen on this episode, you can join in with the comments. They will flash up when we get a chance in between us talking or whatever we're doing. And we will involve you in the episode. Lewis, if we don't get Champions League next season, I think Klopp will leave. I think he's off anyway, in my personal opinion.
He's done what he's done. He's done what he's needed to do. And that's it.
But that'll do us for this episode of Stand Your Ground. We will be back next week. It'll be a bit of a weird show next week because we're going to do another special. I'm going to think of a team building thing. If you've got an idea of a team that you want to see us build, put it in the comments of this video. I will keep checking them regularly unless I think of something by that. Because it's FA Cup, there's not really many games to cover, so we might as well do something a little bit fun, something that people can get joined in with. So I'll think of a team building show that we can do. But But I've been joined by Brad. Thank you for coming on, man.
No worries. It's always fun. I'll hopefully be on soon.
Yeah, and I've been your host, Alex, and we will see you next Sunday, same time. Be sure to be there.